Hello there, fellow Springfieldians, and welcome back to Simpsons Theory. In late 2019, Simpsons showrunner Al Jean said that the makers were discussing ideas for potential spin-off shows. Could we be seeing the likes of Comic Book Guy, Lenny, or even Groundskeeper Willie in their very own show?
We want Chili Willy!
A spin-off isn't a crazy thought concerning these lovable schmoes. The Simpsons itself is a spin-off from the Tracy Ullman Show. Well, we're going to look at some of them today. I'm Lydia, and this is the Simpsons spin-offs that almost actually happened. Number 4. Tales from Springfield. Who can forget the episode that comprised of 22 short films about Springfield? It's the episode that stretched the limits of storytelling, all while sparking thousands of steamed ham memes. In the episode, we experienced a day of the life of some of many Springfield's residents. We saw Apu's wild side, Chief Wiggum goes all Pulp Fiction discussing burgers with Lou and Eddie, and Bumblebee Man has an awful day at work. His house gets destroyed and so his wife leaves him. It's a pretty turbulent episode. And so the episode sparked discussion amongst the writing staff. They had so many ideas for the episode, so they thought, why don't we just spin this into its own television show? It was going to be called Tales from Springfield, and instead of focusing on just the Simpsons family, it would instead shine a light on other wacky characters from the town. Every week would be a different scenario. 3 short stories, an adventure with young Homer, an episode set in the future, and a story about a background character that was not tied to the Simpsons family at all. Unfortunately, the story never materialized. The Simpsons creator Matt Groening explained that they didn't have enough manpower to create such a show. Creating The Simpsons is such a time-consuming and demanding show at the height of its popularity, and they simply didn't spare any valuable writers to work on a separate show. Former showrunner Josh Weinstein said it would be a chance to tell full stories about these other characters, but that never happened. I think it could have been great, but everyone was so busy at the time. Creating a single episode is exhausting enough, and to work on a separate show may have caused a decline in quality at the height of their popularity, and therefore causing viewership to decrease. I, for one, would love to see some of the lives of the lesser-seen Springfieldians and their wacky antics. The characters have their own individual arcs that I think constitutes them to have a little bit more stardom. Maybe a sci-fi travel adventure with Professor Frink, or a medical show with Dr. Hibbert. The possibilities are endless. Number 3. Itchy and Scratchy. The violent, gory cartoon show involving a mouse butchering a cat is a hit in Springfield, but would it be as popular in our world? During an interview with Simpsons creator Matt Groening, he mentioned that a request he gets time and time again is for an Itchy and Scratchy spin-off. However, the issue with a 25-minute Itchy and Scratchy episode is, well, the length. According to longtime Simpsons director David Silverman, he said it really doesn't work as a long cartoon. Matt Groening also had this to say about the length. We put together a montage of Itchy and Scratchy moments that is several minutes long, and I've shown it to audiences and they get stunned after a minute and a half. Now, we can understand that. That's a lot of bludgeoning, dynamite, and reorganisation of organs. This over-the-top violence may have been a problem in getting it made. In fact, during season 5 and 6 of the show, Fox asked the showrunners not to make any more Itchy and Scratchy episodes due to the excessive violence. Would you have liked to have seen an Itchy and Scratchy spin-off, or do you think it would get boring pretty quickly? Number 2. A live-action Troy McClure movie. Hey, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from my movie that never happened. Yes, the actor who had a particular relationship with fish was meant to get his very own movie. Phil Hartman, who voiced both Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz, discussed with Matt Groening about the project. Not only that, but it was going to be live action. Hartman would say that he would love nothing more than to make the film, and was even prepared to buy the film rights himself in order to make it happen. Hartman was originally only brought in for a one-time appearance, but he enjoyed working on The Simpsons so much that the staff wrote additional parts for him. Groening said that Hartman's voice acting could produce the maximum amount of humour with any line he was given. The spin-off idea was so popular that many of the show's writers expressed their enthusiasm to help write the movie. But sadly, no script was ever written. I, for one, would have loved to have seen him play Troy McClure on the big screen. A film focusing on a down-on-his-luck actor who succumbed to infomercials and educational videos with everyone's favourite co-host Billy. But but seeing him try and make a comeback would have been amazing to watch. Unfortunately, the actor passed away in 1998, and out of respect for the actor, the Simpsons staff chose to retire the character of Troy McClure and any hope of the movie. But he goes down as one of the most memorable characters from the show. And finally, number 1, Krusty the Clown. The closest a character ever came to getting his own spin-off show was surprisingly Krusty the Clown. The show was planned at the peak of The Simpsons' popularity in the 90s. Like the previous entry, this was also going to be live action, starring Dan Castellaneta, who voices the character on the show. He's the actor who also voices Homer, Grandpa, Barney, Mayor Quimby, amongst many, many more. Groening even went so far as writing the script. In the first episode, Krusty moves to LA to host his own talk show. A running gag was that he lived on a house of stilts, and there were beavers gnawing their way through them. However, the fact that it was meant to be live action caused several issues. The network pointed out just how expensive it was to hire trained beavers. Yes, Groening really wanted to use real beavers. He was very committed to the gag. And an equally prohibitive cost would be to get mechanical beavers. So they decided to make it into an animated series, but contract negotiations stalled, and Groening moved on to developing Futurama, and we guess that this idea was put on the shelf. Poor Krusty. However, for those still interested in the show, it could still happen. As Groening said, "I still think Krusty would be a great series, or maybe we'll just do it in an episode of The Simpsons." Which character do you want to see in their own spin-off? Let us know in the comments below. I would like to say a big thank you to our newest Flying Hellfish Patreon, James Whitehead. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you would like to support this little yellow channel and to see your name featured in the credits, then check out my Patreon in the description below.